Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we'll go through The World is Too Much with Us, a very beautiful poem by one of the pioneers of Romanticism in English literature, William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was a true romantic poet and a worshipper of nature, a true lover of nature. He thought nature has the healing ability, and he found solace in the lap of nature. He could be seen sometimes in the woods, sometimes beside a river, sometimes watching a cataract and listening to the music of a waterfall, or sometimes enjoying himself while looking at the wild daffodils. This true lover of nature was very much upset, and it was painful to him when he saw the industrial revolution or the industrialization of the late 18th century in England. The industrialization had revolutionized the lives of the British people, and people were migrating from the rural areas to the cities or the urban areas in search of better and standard livelihoods. Man was running after material gains and was in competition with fellow men for material prosperity and material gain. Man had become a kind of materialistic. He had lost his connection with nature and had no feelings and appreciation for the beauty of nature. He was spending much of his time in getting and spending and living a robotic life. This new mechanical lifestyle of the Britishers was upsetting for the lover of nature, so he wrote out his heart in the poem The World Too Much with Us in 1817. Through the very tone of the poem, one could get the idea that the poet Wordsworth is wailing and lamenting on this vague of materialism and industrialization. He laments that how a man or how human being is not able to see the beauty of nature, how they don't find solace on seeing the spectacular side of the moon reflection or reflection of the moon on the surface of the calm ocean. How men can't find solace in the beautifully tranquil night when the winds lie down like the sleeping flower. He mourns and invokes the ancient paganism. He wishes to escape into the ancient Greek creed, the pagan creed, which is outdated, and he says, would that he were born in that era so that he would be able to appreciate nature, so that he would be able to see the storm and calm of the seas without being disturbed by this industrialization. So this is a kind of very beautiful poem. Let's go to the explanation of this poem. Okay, the world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. In this very first line of this poem, the first stanza, Wordsworth tells us that we have gone too much after the material gains, the worldly gains. Now, here, world means the worldly gains are the material gains. Soon and late and soon, getting and spending. Hastily and gradually, slowly and hastily. What we do, we are after getting and spending. One day we get something and the next day we spend it. And by doing that, we spoil our powers. We spoil our spiritual powers, we spoil our physical powers, and little we see in nature that is ours. As we have discussed, Wordsworth was the true worshipper of nature, believer of nature. So he thought what actually we own is the nature. And now he believes that people are not minding the nature, they are not taking care of the nature. Because of the industrialization, our nature is threatened, and people are not thinking about that. They are not taking care of the nature. And little we see in nature that is ours. Nature is ours, but we don't think about it. We don't care a straw about nature. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. Now, here Wordsworth says, this is a kind of economic statement, we can say. We have given away our heart, we have given our hearts away. We have, let's say, done some business with our hearts. We have given our hearts. This is a sordid boon. Sordid boon means this is a distasteful blessing. Okay, this is a distasteful benefit. Here, sordid boon is an oxymoron. Sordid means distasteful, and boon mean benefit. So, this benefit, where we have given away our hearts in for the sake of material gains, for the sake of material prosperity, for the sake of our economy, it's sordid boon. To giving away our hearts means we have given away our feelings for the nature, feelings for the natural beauty, feelings for the appreciation of nature. So this is a kind of sordid boon. This is not a good business but a bad business. This sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours. Now, here, the sea that bears her bosom to the moon. In the above line, Wordsworth said, little we see in nature that is ours. Now, these are the beautiful and spectacular sights of nature, is the sea that bears her bosom to the moon. Here, sea has been personified as some female who opens up her bosom to the moon which is looking from above. This is basically the reflection of moon on the surface of the sea. It looks wonderfully beautiful when the sightseer or the one who appreciates the beautiful spectacular sights of nature. So, to Wordsworth, who is true believer, lover, and appreciator of nature, this is a very beautiful sight, and we don't look at the people around him, they don't look at this beautiful sight. When the moon is reflected on the surface of that calm ocean, the winds that will be howling all hours and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. This is also very beautiful sight. All day long the winds howl. Now howling here is the winds will be howling. Howling is, you can say, this is implied metaphor. Actually a wolf howls. This is like howling means the sound, the shrieking sound of some wild animal. Now here the wind has been compared with some wild animal. It howls all hours of the day, all day long, but at night everything is calm. The winds, they have also upgathered like sleeping flowers. When it's cold, the petals of flowers, they are upgathered, and everything is calm like them, like those flowers. The winds are upgathered, they are calm, and the night is very tranquil. This is a very beautiful sight. You can see reflection of moon on the surface of the ocean or sea. No wind is blowing, everything is at rest, no disturbance is there. But we don't see these things. Okay, for this, for everything, we are out of tune. We don't have senses. We are out of tune means we don't have senses for these beautifully spectacular sights of nature. We have become materialistic. We are after material gains, and we don't appreciate these beautiful scenes and sights of nature. Here, upgathered now like sleeping flowers. Here, like sleeping flowers. Look, the winds have been compared to sleeping flowers. This is simile about howling. Howling is, as we discussed, it is implied metaphor. And sordid boon, this is oxymoron. Sordid means distasteful, and boon means that is benefit. Now moving to the second stanza, it moves us not, great God. This is, it moves us not, great God. This is a kind of exclamation. There is exclamation mark there. Great God, it moves us not. We human beings, we don't appreciate it. It hasn't got any effect on us. I would rather be a pagan suckled in creed outworn, instead of living in this society where people are after material gains, material prosperity. I would like to be following the outworn creed of pagan. Outworn means the outdated or the obsolete creed of the religion of the pagan, the unbelievers who are living in the Greek civilization, the Greek era, so pre-Christian era. So might I, standing on this pleasantly, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn. Why is he wishing for the pagan era? Because he says on those days there were no industrialization, there were people were not going after the material gains. So if I were following that outworn or obsolete or archaic or outdated creed, I would be standing calmly without any disturbance of this race for material prosperity, and I would be calmly looking at the beauty of nature. I would have been less forlorn, less, you can say, less forlorn means I would have been less dejected, I would have been less unhappy. I would have sight of Proteus rising from sea. This is also from the Greek mythology. The Greek people, they worship different gods. So for sea they had different gods, for wind they had different gods and goddesses. For love they had different gods and goddesses. Now this Proteus, it was a god of storm. Now, it was believed in the Greek mythology, it is said that when Proteus became angry, it stormed the seas. It would have rised from the sea and would have stormed the sea. Or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn. Triton is also a demigod, a sea god. He is believed to be blowing his clarion or blowing his horn when there was used to be storm in the sea, and he calmed the sea. Now this poet of nature Wordsworth says, if I were a believer of the outworn creed of the pagan, the outdated creed of the pagan, I would I would be standing on the lee or on the pasture there beside the sea, and without being disturbed by this race of materialism, I would see the beauty of nature. I would see Proteus, the god of storm, rising from the sea, and I would be able to see that Triton or the demigod blow his wreathed or twisted horn, twisted clarion or conch. Now, this is a very beautiful poem. As we discussed at the beginning of this lecture, that this is a sonnet and a Petrarchan sonnet, because the rhyme scheme has been set on the Petrarchan style. For example, A B B A B B A C D C D and C D. This is A B B A B B A C D C D C D. This is the rhyme scheme of the poem. Various devices have been used here to make its impression lasting, or its effect lasting on the minds of the reader. As we have seen, we have discussed sordid boon. This is oxymoron, putting together two let's say opposite ideas, a sordid boon. The sea that bears, here sea, this is, let's say, the sea that bears her bosom. She has been compared to, she has been presented as a female human being, so she bears, or she opens up her bosom to the moon. This is personification. The wind that will be howling at all hours. Howling is, let's say, the characteristic of wild animals, so it is implied metaphor. And are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. This is simile. So various figures have also been used here. Now, important feature, important characteristic of the romantic poets, escapism is also used here. William Wordsworth wants to escape to the paganism to avoid this industrialization or material race in his era. Now he wants to solace himself by going back to the pagan era, where there were no race for material prosperity, where there were no industrialization. So this is also escapism. It's called escapism. Instead of facing the difficulties, a poet shuns the difficulties, the cares, the worries, and solaces himself or herself in something which is not there. For example, John Keats is also an escapist. He goes with a nightingale to escape the hardships, the caresses, the difficulties of life into the wood. Same is the case with Wordsworth here in this poem. He wants to escape to the pagan era to avoid this industrialization, to shun the disturbing life, to shun the mechanical life, the robotic life of that industrialization, which was in vogue in late 18th century. So this was all about today. So if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I would request you to subscribe it, so that you would remain in touch with the channel and get the next lectures. Thank you very much.